So, ladies and gents, just to give everybody a heads up, I'm recording this. All right. So, I'm not recording any of you. I'm recording my screen and myself on the video. So, anybody that's missing today's class, they'll be able to follow this. So, I just want to make sure everybody knows that we're live without a net here. So, we just can't use bad words on film. I'll edit that part out. Okay. So, you're on How the Market Works, My Portfolio. Go to your transaction history. And the reason we're going to your transaction history is because you want to see the fact that you have any of your past transactions, what they were worth when you bought them, how many shares, what the name of the company was, and when you bought them, what was the total cost? Why is it listed as a negative number? Remind me. Riley, why is that number negative? Right here? Okay, that's fine. Anybody know why is that negative? Technically, no. That's what you would think. But I'm looking at my transaction history, Con, and I'm looking at the value of those shares, Van, as being negative. Why?
You never, then you don't have the money yet. It's still in the system.
It's still in the system, yeah.
It's just the price you bought it at times the quantity. So it's 26 times 94.23, which equals 2,468.
Yeah, but it's a negative number. I don't.
Like you lost that much.
Technically not losing, and I'm glad we're talking about this, and because if that's what I think, if I'm like, oh my gosh, I just lost $2,468, that's not accurate.
You lost your buying power.
Yeah. Here, honestly, here's what's going on. When I show you, you're gonna be like, oh, right, that totally makes sense. How much money did you start with? 10,000. I started with 10,000. And Sam, I subtracted, in my case, $2,468.16. So the reason why it's negative, ladies and gentlemen, is because they are displaying the fact that you are decreasing the $10,000 value of your account by, in my case, the 2468. So when we see it listed as a negative number, they're just basically saying that you no longer have 2,468.18 in cash. You now have converted that dollar amount into 26 shares of Raytheon. And when you did that, you spent $94.93 for each one of those shares. That was purchased on the 3rd of May. So we need that information. Now, what we're going to start doing is recording our information so that we can keep track of our own records. Now, this is where you left off here. Let's format this just slightly. So if you kick over into the Excel document, and I'm going to zoom up a little bit more here so you can see. And what we're going to do is I'm first, and Gabe, you can follow along. And it might be easier. You know what? Here, let's do this. Let's turn your desk this way. Let's turn it sideways. I don't want to hit your knee. Move that over here. So then that way you can follow me and you can see my computer right here and you can see what I'm doing. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you like a mouse or are you good with this?
I'm good with that.
All right. I knew you were. All right. So I'm going to format this just slightly. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to highlight, click on cell A1. And I'm going to just kind of make this look a little fancier. I'm going to go up top and I'm going to go to the home ribbon and I'm going to make this a new color. I'm going to make it yellow for Bucks yellow. When I move my cursor over here to the left between the number 1 and 2 rows, I'm going to left click and hold and drag that cell down to make this kind of like a big, large area. I'm going to format my text. You can do that very similar to like you do in Word. I'm going to click on that cell. I'm going to make it larger, and I'm going to change the font style to make it look, oh, look at that. That looks really professional, doesn't it? Formatting is really not much, but it's just a way that we can kind of make it look a little bit more interesting. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to vertically center, because you'll notice that if I make this smaller, notice how by default the text is towards the bottom. You've got all this space up top. I'm going to use this tool. Anytime I want to know what a tool in Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint is, I can roll over the tool and leave your mouse sit on it. And when I do that, you'll see that it is the middle align button. And I'm going to zoom it up so you can see some of these things a little easier. So that middle align button is going to then center the content from the top and bottom. We call that vertical alignment or vertical centering. And I'm also having it centered from left to right, which is horizontal centering, vertical and horizontal. So I've got that set up. Now, many of you are having the issue in which you typed, for instance, when you typed in liquidation date, it was flowing over into the different columns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on cell A3. And I'm going to up top, and I'm going to zoom again for everybody to see because this is a little bit weird. Once I show it to you once, you can do it on your own. Where the words liquidation date are in this ribbon, I'm going to put my cursor right before the letter D. And you can so I clicked on cell A3. I'm going up into the formula bar, and I'm going to click once and put my cursor right before that letter D. If I press enter, and I don't want you to do this, if I press enter, enter simply moves my cursor from one cell to the next, top to bottom. So if I keep pressing enter, my cursor goes down. If I do shift enter, you can see the space where my selection is going one down, or shift enter, it's one up. If I press tab, tab is moving my cursor or the highlighted green from left to right. Shift tab is moving it from right to left. If I click on the actual cell and I then go up top to click in the formula bar before date, if I press enter, because what I want to do is I want to get date on the next line within the same cell. If I press enter, my cursor kicked out of there. So what I want to have happen is I want liquidation to be on one line and I want date to be underneath of it. How I do that is I'll put my cursor before the D in date, and I have to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard. So first things first, I put it right before the word the word date. And then when I press and hold the Alt key on my keyboard and I hit enter, and then press enter a second time. Alt enter is how we can get multiple lines within the same cell. So it's like hitting enter as you would in Word, and it moves your cursor down, but instead it's going to move that word date, because my cursor is before the letter D, down to the next line. So I'm going to go into full company name. I feel like before the word name, I'm going to hit Alt, I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to hit enter again. And now full company name is on 3 lines. Well, if I want to then move that over, because I want to make column B wider, I'm going to go up top and between B and C, left click and hold, and I'm going to drag that out a little bit so I can get full company name a little bit wider. I'll let you decide independently. Stock symbol, I'm going to do right before the letter S in symbol, Alt enter, and hit enter again. So now I've got multiple lines for stock symbol. Go ahead and finish up the remaining labels to get them how you would like them to be. Number of shares, Alt enter, purchase price per share. I'm going to get per share down below. Initial investment value, Alt enter, sale price per share. I'll enter current value of investment, profit or loss, return on investment. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here in liquidation date. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my cursor right here before the D in date. And then I'm going to hold down Alt. And then I'm going to press Enter. And then I'm going to press Enter again. And see how now liquidation date back down below?
Yeah.
Can you do that same thing for company name and stock symbol? I want you to get name below by pressing Alt Enter. And then Enter again. Okay? Do that. Got it?
Alt.
Enter. Make sure you get your cursor right before the letter N. Click in there. Go ahead, click in there. Keep clicking with your mouse. Yep, there you go. Like this. Get it in here. Or you can go up here. See there where it has there? See now how I have the cursor there? Now press Alt on your keyboard and then press Enter. And actually, let's go back one. Yep, press Alt Enter once. Now take your finger off Alt and then press Enter. Bingo. Got it? All right. Next, ladies and gents, let's do things in batches. What we want to do is instead of us manipulating each column width independently, I'm going to highlight starting with the letter A. Notice how when I click on the actual letter A, it's highlighting the entire column. I'm selecting the entire column from A all the way out. So when I left click and hold, I'm dragging all the way over to J. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor in between any one of these columns up top. So for instance, I'll move it between C and D. And you'll see that when you do that, the cursor changes into a two-way arrow. It's a black arrow facing the right and the left. What I'm simply going to do is just double click with my mouse. Left click, click. And when you do that, it will do what we say, as we say, auto fit. It will shrink up the columns or expand the column widths to fit the largest entry in that particular column. So for me, when we start typing things, I'm going to leave it like this. We're probably going to end up having to make columns wider, but at least I have it at this particular point. God bless you. I'm going to do a couple more formatting things and I'll show you, and you can do this on your own. I'm going to merge and center A2 through J2. I'm going to give that a background color of black, and I'm going to make that a little bit narrower to give me like this little divider line. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight all of my labels and I'm going to bold them. I'm going to give it a background color of a light gray because I want to separate the labels from my data. And I also want to center that data in each one of those columns. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor down. Let me zoom it a little bit for my friends. Great job, Gabe. I'm going to come down to row 4. And this is like our final stop, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to go ahead in and I'm going to record my data from how the market works here. So if we toggle back into how the market works, specifically your transaction history tab, we have a purchase date, which quite honestly, I'm not really concerned about. But I do have a purchase of 26 shares of RTX, which is the Raytheon Corporation, and each share I bought was $94.93. So I'm going to record the company name, the company symbol, the the quantity of shares, and the price per share all in my Excel document. So I've got full company name, Raytheon Incorporated. I think that's it. I might have to go and double click on my actual symbol to be able to tell the full company name. Or if I go into Yahoo Finance, if you're not remembering, Raytheon Technologies Corporation. Okay, so that's my full company name. Raytheon Technologies Corp. Now, because my Raytheon Technologies Corp is too long, I'm going to go up here between B and C, click, and it will auto fit so that now I can see the entire entry in that column. The stock symbol for me was RTX. The number of shares that I purchased, let me verify that. I purchased 26, and I bought them for $94.93. So I'm going to record that information in here. Break? You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. Just go get a Pop-Tart. It'll be all good. Pop-Tarts make everything better. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your hand if you're happy you're not having to take an AP test right now. Sam, you're a little bit suspect. You kind of wish you were? No, okay, just checking. All right, we're almost done. How many? Raise your hand if you have AP tests next week. Okay, Sam does. Got. All right. So, how do I calculate initial investment, ladies and gents? What's the name of your company that you bought? Target? Mm-hmm. Let's get that in there. How do you calculate initial investment, Grace? Yeah, very good. Folks, the math that we are going to be doing here, and what's your stock symbol, is math that you've been doing since like third grade, if not before. However, if you do not understand the concept, if you don't know, how do I get the initial investment? The very simple math means nothing. So when we want to go into formula mode in Excel, what key do we press to create a formula? Equals. So I'm in cell F4. And the reason, and if I were really curious, in F4, the document that I gave everybody has all of the formulas and the locations that we're going to be typing them. So you can look back at this document, which is in your Chapter 10 Investing Project folder. It's the Investing Portfolio Excel Setup printout. These are where you put the cell data values in. And then down below, I've got the symbols that Excel uses. So when we are multiplying, for instance, we are not going to use the X. X is a character. It is not the multiplication symbol in Excel. What we have to use is the asterisk, which is Shift 8. And the formula that I'm putting in F4 to calculate my initial investment value is going to be the number of shares purchased, as Grace pointed out, times the price that each one of those shares cost. So I'm going to create that formula in cell F4. Here's the full formula itself. But as Connor pointed out, we got to press that equal sign first to kick us into formula mode. And I know many of this is review for everybody from your classes, but it might have been a while ago that you've had Excel. So I'm going to go to equals. I'm going to click on cell D4. So it's almost like a window that says, take whatever data value is in cell D4, and I want you to multiply. So I'm going to do Shift 8. And I'm then going to click on the price per share data value, and that is in cell E4. So now I've got a window to each of these two data points instead of me actually using the numbers. And once I selected those, he's good at this point so far. and I press enter, that formula now kicks in. Ladies and gents, this is all Microsoft Excel is. It's a calculator. It's got a lot more buttons on it because all I simply could do is if I press equals, I could type the numbers in 26 and I can multiply 26 by the 94.93 and hit enter. And lo and behold, I'm going to get the same number. I could take out my phone and I could type in 94.26 times the 26 shares, and I could get the exact same number on my calculator. That's 3 different ways that I've gotten the correct answer. But the way that we just did it with a formula, and as we say, a cell reference is the most powerful method. And here's why. Because now if I go back and I no, I didn't buy 26 shares. I actually bought 62. I messed up the numbers. When I type in 62 and I hit enter, the formula value will automatically update it because it's simply taking the data values that are in those 2 cells, D4 and E4. So the most preferred way is using what we call cell references to create formulas. As you see below, it works when I simply use the numbers, or it works on a calculator, but we don't want to use those methods because now when I go back to 26, my updated information is there. Now, we need a data value in the sale price per share. So why don't we go in and we see what the value of your stock is currently trading at right now. So Gabe, let's go to Yahoo Finance. Let's go to Yahoo Finance, and I want you to look up your stock that we just typed in there. RTX, Raytheon. Oh, good. Raytheon lost $1.82 today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this number right here, the 94.61, as just like an estimate, right? Because when we calculate rate of return, we're using it as a forecasting tool before we make the action. So I'm going to take 94.60 and I'm going to use that in my sale price. Here's what I would love for you to do. I'm not going to drag you through if you haven't already done this. I'm going to have you use this document here, the investing portfolio Excel setup stage, and I have 3 more formulas that I've got to create. One for current value of investment, one for profit or loss, and lastly for rate of return, or as we call it, return on investment. So I'm going to record those formulas. Rate of enter. I'm just setting mine up as I had instructions. Create those formulas for those 3 using that particular document. Sale price times number of shares, profit or loss equals initial current value investment minus what my initial investment value was, and my rate of return is equal to my profit or loss divided by my initial investment. How much is your stock target trading for right now? Yes. You know what? It left and never came back yesterday. So if you need to go, if anybody stops you, both of my passes are missing. So I'll be new ones. Thanks for asking, though. So if we type in target up here, let's see how much target is trading at. 223.90, 223.90. So let's go over here and let's type in stock symbol, TGT, number of shares, purchase price. So we're going to do current value, 200, and you type in that number that you can get from $223.90. So type in $223.90. Yep. All right, here's the last step, ladies and gents, and then I'm going to let you go and record the rest of your transactions on your own if you haven't already done that. So I want to format all of these numbers so that they look like the data values that they are. We've got number of shares, which is truly just an integer. It's a number. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to highlight cell E4, which is my price per share. Left click and hold and drag all the way over to the profit or loss column. And I'm going to format that as using this drop down up top in the home ribbon. I'm going to format it as currency. So if you're watching and doing your own thing, as I said, and I'm not trying to be greedy here, but you'll have to figure it out on your own. I'll post this video that I'm doing right now so you can go back and look at it. Please know that this document will be collected at the end of the marking period. It will be we call it in teacher talk an SLO, a strategic learning objective. This is a required component of this course. Similar, but not necessarily as I guess, valuable as a core assignment, but it's kind of similar to a core here in our elective course. So when I have this collected, there's a rubric. Are your numbers formatted consistently? Does your document look professional? Are the numbers accurate? Do you have all the numbers in there? So a lot of these things that I'm doing here is because I'm trying to make sure that you are all aware of how going forward, you can do this on your own. I don't have to drag you through every period. So if you're paying attention, you're following along, and you're keeping up with this on a daily basis, you'll be in great shape. There's no work. If you're doing your own thing, you might have to go back and watch this video to figure it out. Last thing I'm going to do, what's the rate of return? What kind of a number should rate of return be, Jason? Well, that's what it is right here. But what do we want it to be? You said it. Yeah, we want it to be a percentage. Excel has a really quick shortcut. We knew that in the problem, to convert a decimal into a percentage, what do? Yeah, I can move it over twice, or I simply multiply by 100. Microsoft Excel has a tool. If I go up top here after highlighting the rate of return, decimal, if I click the percentage symbol up top in the home ribbon, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically multiply that value by 100. And now it's only at, and I should zoom up so you can see there, it went all the way down to 0. But what I want to do is I want to expand the number of decimals. I want it to go 2 decimal places. So in order to do that, there's another tool up here, and it's right next to the percentage symbol. I'll put my cursor on it so you can see. That is the increased decimal. Right now it's 0. There's no decimals. If I hit this increased decimal place once, I now have tenths of a point. If I hit it a second time, I now have hundredths. So we would round to the nearest hundredth when it comes to a decimal situation, utilizing in this class. Everything we do, we just round in 2 decimal points to be consistent. So now I can tell that my rate of return is a negative 0.33. Not a big deal, but it's helping me gauge the quality of my loss. And then once again, if I go back to my chart, hey, how well am I doing? I'm pretty close to the return of a savings account. Not bad. But I can now evaluate using that rate of return figure to these averages. Michaela, just wait till Grace comes back. But as soon as she comes back, you can shoot. There's just no pass here. Somebody left it. Thank you. Okay. So what I would love for you to do, ladies and gents, and we don't have much time, but I would keep up. If you want to take a look at your stocks, starting next period, we're going to continue to do what's called tracking, trading, and recording. I would record any of the transactions that you have currently on your transaction history page. If you have more than one transaction, I would record all of that data. If you made a sale, don't worry about that quite yet. Anybody sold anything yet? Okay, so we've got to go to that next level, which we'll do next class period or after that. But right now, I don't want to worry about it too much. All I want to worry about in your transaction history page is you recording any of the data in which you made a purchase. And you would do the exact same thing we just did in this particular document here. Okay. Don't forget Control S or save. Peace, love. I'm out. Thanks, everybody. If you need help, is anybody stuck? Anything not working on your Excel document? It's not due today, but remember, keep me in the loop. At the beginning of next class period, if something's wrong or you're not being able to figure it out, let me know right away. I don't want this to kind of build and have you, have a lot of work at the end of the marking period.
Where are you posting this?
I will. I'll post a link on today's daily plan. I got to stop it right now, and I can't remember how do we. I got to remember how to stop that recording. Creative Cloud, Windows D. I just had to find.